With the massive amount of franchises behind the Warner Brothers name, some obvious characters being left out of the initial launch of MultiVersus is puzzling. Of course, it is important to be diverse and not flood the game with one single franchise, but some being left out seems a bit out of order. If WB was worried that having too big of a roster at launch was a problem, both in profit and balancing, some current characters could have waited. One of Garnet or Steven Universe being pushed back a bit would have made sense. With how popular superheroes are, DC's inclusion isn't surprising, but 4 characters at launch was maybe a tad much. Also, unless MultiVersus original character Raindog has something coming that no one knows, its spot could have been used for a more iconic character. Luckily none of this affected the game's success, as MultiVersus has quickly risen to a popular and likely profitable competitor in the fighting game market. Developed by Player First Games, MultiVersus is the latest platform fighter that has become something of a phenomenon. It brings the best parts of popular fighting games like Super Smash Bros., while including its own unique twists like an emphasis on team battles and character perks that can stack with teammates. All of this is set in front of the backdrop of the wonderful franchises that fall under the umbrella of Warner Brothers. Combat and characters are even complemented with a creative assortment of cosmetics that offer no competitive advantage to players. With the success and room to grow that MultiVersus has, it could easily take the platform fighter crown from Super Smash Bros. However, as successful as the game's launch was, one qualm players could have with it is the current roster of characters, not because they are bad, but simply the order of it. Since the game's launch, 4 characters have been added or confirmed for the game: Rick Sanchez, Morty Smith, Black Adam, and Stripe the Gremlin. Most of these seem like perfect additions to MultiVersus. Rick and Morty is a hit television show, Black Adam is an upcoming movie with global superstar Dwayne Johnson, and a creature from Gremlins is just odd enough to attract attention. Of course, there is also a huge list of characters MultiVersus could add after launch, with some leaks already exposing potential newcomers. Still, amongst the current roster, some iconic characters are missing and leave fans scratching their heads about not being included initially. The Animaniacs perfectly fit the chaos of MultiVersus. Animaniacs is one of WB's most famous cartoon series. A skit-like comedy show about the 3 Warner siblings, Yakko, Wacko, and Dot, causing chaos around the Warner Brothers Studios blends perfectly into the vibes of MultiVersus. All 3 siblings could play as one character, something already seen in MultiVersus with Tom and Jerry. Their zany cartoon magic plays perfectly into the attack and ability creation the game's current roster has. Leaks and rumors have suggested that the Animaniacs are on the way, but other planned content has reportedly been cut from MultiVersus. Animaniacs is a classic cartoon that, with a recent successful reboot which has an upcoming 3rd season, raises questions on how one of the initial spots of MultiVersus roster wasn't reserved for the titular trio. MultiVersus has Shaggy, but not Scooby? Arguably the most recognizable dog in TV history, let alone animation. How does Scooby-Doo not make the initial launch of MultiVersus alongside his best bud? With 2 of the Mystery Inc. gang, Shaggy and Velma, already in the game, it seems baffling not to have Scooby as well. Now, it is understandable why WB wouldn't want them together, as the developers are very self-aware, currently having MultiVersus Shaggy inspired by his powerful memes, and Velma likely included for her own solo spin-off show that's airing soon. However, leaving out the mainstay of one of the most popular cartoon franchises seems like a misstep, especially when his playstyle could have played perfectly into how Shaggy operates, keeping the chemistry the two have established. MultiVersus without Daffy Duck? Despicable. After Bugs, there is no Looney Tunes character more iconic than Daffy Duck. While Taz is popular and fits the style of the game arguably a bit more, putting him in before Daffy seems wrong. Daffy could have come in as Duck Dodgers or in his Green Lantern form to cover two franchises with one character, and at the very least, each could have been cosmetic skins for him. His combat style would fit the game well and make a great complement to his Looney Tunes family. Fans have even made a Daffy MultiVersus concept that looks authentic. While there is a good chance Daffy will reach the game eventually, it is weird leaving him out of the initial release, especially in favor of another character from his franchise. Teen Titans MultiVersus should have shown DC TV more love. Arguably one of the most popular groups of the DC universe, no Teen Titans making the initial roster of MultiVersus is a tad disheartening, especially since the group has had one of the most popular cartoon runs, a new comedy-focused reboot that has found success, and a live-action show. Each member of the iconic five would have a play style that could fit into MultiVersus perfectly, with cosmetics and team chemistry to boot. Even a Justice League cyborg with a throwback Titans cosmetic could have sufficed. While none of the 4 DC characters that did launch with the game are bad picks, with MultiVersus even being the best Superman game, perhaps covering more areas of the DC universe initially could have set a better foundation. Sheldon Cooper could bring some bang to MultiVersus. While Sheldon isn't the fighting type, much like others in MultiVersus, his inclusion would have felt natural and funny. His character has been the star of 2 popular shows and would have brought more live-action figures into the game. His love for comics and his proclivity for science fit well for ability usage and possible cosmetics. While his character may not have fit into the MultiVersus style as easily as other WB characters have, his inclusion would not have been a detriment to the game but rather a creative addition. MultiVersus could have tapped into Rooster Teeth's RWBY. One of the more popular web shows in the past decade with global popularity would have been a fitting initial roster appearance. RWBY has already seen its titular 4 characters crossover in other games and even the DC Universe, which recently got Black Adam confirmed as a MultiVersus character. With books published, the show's popular continuation, a DC crossover movie announced, and an alternate Japanese anime currently airing, any of the main 4 earning a spot would have made sense. The combat would have flowed easily, and cosmetics could have been original or taken right out of the show. While RWBY is not as long-lived as the others previous mentioned, it would have been a clever use of one of WB's global hits if they had been included. While excluding some of these characters isn't as bad as others, their lack of initial entry begs some questions. Indeed, popular and long-lived characters like the Animaniacs, Daffy, and Scooby should have made an initial launch, even if Warner Bros. Was trying to show off how much property it has. If the latter were the goal, the inclusion of recent popular successes like the Teen Titans, Sheldon Cooper, or RWBY characters would have also made sense. Still, MultiVersus is more approachable than other fighting games and the chance most if not all of these characters get into the game seems high. Leaving them out would be such a missed opportunity for a game that should try to capitalize off names as much as its gameplay. However, MultiVersus leaving out such iconic titles and characters from an initial launch in favor of some of the characters that did make it ends up being the game's biggest misstep so far.